if you read the title, we sold our $120,000 truck and toy hauler setup, and we did it with the purpose of becoming RV renters again. Hey everyone, welcome back to another slightly outnumbered video. If you've watched some of our other videos about going outdoors, going off-roading, camping, and doing the outdoor adventure stuff, you might have heard a little bit about this. We were always RV renters. We said we would never own one. And then COVID hit, and the opportunities to get outdoors and the opportunities to travel were much less at that time. And we decided, you know what, we've been wanting an RV, we've been thinking about it, maybe now's the time to pull the trigger. So we got lucky and we got a beautiful truck and a beautiful RV toy hauler, pre-COVID pricing, and we had it for a few years. We finally made the decision, you know what, we're gonna get rid of all of it, we're gonna sell it all, and essentially we're gonna downsize, kind of start fresh and revisit our off-road setup, revisit what we want, and kind of restructure how we spend our money on those things. So in this video, I want to talk about some of the pros and cons of RV ownership, at least for us, and then some of the pros and cons for RV renting, at least for us. Again, we are a family of 5. We also have one dog that tends to travel with us wherever we go. A lot of decision making went into this. It was not an overnight impulse decision for us. With ownership, there's a lot of pros and there's also a lot of cons. In the beginning of our ownership, when we first bought the RV, we were very much focused on the pros. You get to choose your own design. You get to always have it available for you to use whenever you want to go. If you have this spontaneous trip you want to take. Owning an RV also gives you the opportunity to customize it and have it fit your needs specifically. Ours was a toy hauler, so we were always traveling with off-road vehicle toys. Another pro was the loading and unloading of it. A lot of things when you own an RV, you can leave in there, and they're just always in there ready to go. That was definitely awesome to always have things packed up and ready to go. If you don't feel like unloading the day you get back from a trip and you want to just leave your toys in there and leave your stuff in there and park it down the street and get to it the next day, you have that opportunity because it's your RV. Owning an RV also allows you to learn a lot about trucking, a lot about driving large vehicles, a lot about safety on the road, a lot about things you would never realize you needed to know in order to own and operate an RV safely. But you definitely learn along the way, because if you don't, things happen and things will break, accidents will happen, and you'll have to adjust on the fly. There's also a sense of personal satisfaction just to have your own RV. It feels like you have a second home in many ways, and you have a place to go when you want to get out of the house, whether it be just go parking it at a campground for a couple days, or taking a week-long off-grid trip in the middle of the desert. Or if you want to go road trip across a couple states, you can bring your house with you and have everything with you at all times. It's really nice to have that flexibility to just leave and get on the road whenever you want. However, RV ownership presents a lot of cons. And for us, the cons really started to outweigh the pros. And first and foremost was the financial impact. Owning an RV is very expensive. There's a lot of consistent costs that you have to pay for every single month, whether you're using it or not. And during those long stretches of time that would come up where you go 3, 4, 5, 6 months without using your RV, it would leave a sour taste in your mouth knowing that you forked out thousands and thousands of dollars to own this RV that you're getting no use out of. And there's also a lot of stress with RV ownership. Something always comes up with RV ownership. And those of you who own RVs or have been avid off-roaders or RVers, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You could have your RV perfectly well maintained, everything good to go, and the second you go pick it up the day before your trip, there's just so many little things that you have to worry about and you have to kind of plan ahead for when you own an RV that oftentimes kind of make the experience a little frustrating. Another thing is storage. When we've loaded up and we just have to park it near our house somewhere because we're going to leave the next morning and we can't park it in our driveway, we can't park it in front of our house, so we have to go park it around the corner. And that would just present certain levels of stress. Just knowing that all of our stuff is just kind of out there on the street And we have hundreds of thousands of dollars tied up into this whole setup that's kind of just sitting there until we're ready to use it. There's also a lot of depreciation associated with RVs. RVs are severely depreciating assets and they do not last. Maintenance is very, very crucial with RVs. You really have to stay up to date on the maintenance, and if you don't, it just ruins your experience. Owning the RV, we quickly outgrew it in the matter of 3 or 4 years. But as our kids got older and they wanted their own ATVs, they didn't want to just sit in the back of the RZR and cruise around. It presented a lot of challenges because we couldn't fit everything. So every time we're going out, we're having to either choose what to leave behind and what to take, or we're having to take multiple vehicles in order to bring all the toys out. And it just kind of hinders the travel experience, the RV experience, when you have this caravan of vehicles and you're not even getting to like sit in the car with your wife and family and really enjoy the trip together. RVs deteriorate so fast that if you don't keep up maintenance on the RV, or you don't use it frequently enough to where you're constantly fixing and repairing and improving these things, it can just make it to where you don't even want to take it out. Then other little things like insurance cost and storage cost, the loan monthly payment if you're having it financed, and all these other little costs really add up to where, you can quickly be paying thousands of dollars a month just for the RV to sit. There's a lot of scary times, especially early in the RV life when you first buy your RV and you first get to test it out. There's a lot of times where you're learning on the fly. So you get it all loaded up and you take it on the freeway and you realize you are just swimming on the freeway all over the road because there's no distribution of weight in your RV toy hauler that's attached to your truck, so it is not towing nicely at all. You haven't found out exactly how everything's gonna fit in there, so you try and fit things in there and they break parts of the RV. Your brake line while you're driving, trying to make a U-turn in a giant intersection, and your brake light plug that goes to the back of the truck gets severed and you're stuck in the middle of the desert with no brakes on your RV, with no lights in the middle of the night. There's just a lot of things that come up when you own an RV that a lot of times are taken care of when you rent an RV, because the person who's renting it to you, or the company that's renting it to you, has kind of gone over all of those things already to avoid any issues, because they want you to bring the RV back in the same condition that it was given to you. They want you to have a good trip so that you'll come back and rent again. And ultimately, they want their RVs to last as long as possible so they can keep renting them and keep generating income. And that's kind of the perfect segue into what led us to become renters again. Well, let's see, if we sell all this and we save, it ended up being for us about $2,000 a month with our truck and our RV, with our insurance, our storage, all the fees associated with everything that was related to us going off-roading, camping with that truck and RV. We ended up saving about $2,000 a month. It opened up a lot of doors. It allowed us to start helping people in our family more. It allowed us to take trips more, do other things that we enjoyed that we couldn't necessarily do as much, because on the months that we weren't camping or using our RV, we were still forking out that $2,000 a month for all of those costs just for the truck and RV to sit there. So some of the pros that we identified with renting, having been renters for like about 6 or 7 years before we bought our RV, and now renters again for the past 5 months or so, we love not having to maintain anything. We love being able to go to the RV rental place, either the company or the private party that we're renting from, pick it up and go. Most times we won't even have to fill it up with propane, fill it up with water. We won't even have to worry about dumping it. We literally just use it and return it. There's also no monthly cost associated with renting. We didn't have to worry about any monthly expenses. So it freed up a lot of spending money for those winter months or those hot summer months where we're not doing very much camping. And then we still get to use it whenever we want. You know, we do have to do a little bit more planning. We have to reserve ahead of time, and we have to be thinking, okay, what type of place are we going? What type of RV do we want? Is that RV available? We have to do some of those things, but it really gives us a chance to only use it when we need it and not have to pay for it any other time. Plus, we get to choose a different RV if we want to every single time. For us, we had a truck and a toy hauler. So every time we went out, we're using a truck and a toy hauler. But now we rent Class C's. We rent, we can rent little trailers for our current truck that we've downsized to, just an F-150 from our big heavy duty diesel. We can rent little RV trailers that we can pull around with that. We can rent a big bus Class A if we want to have a nice cross-country road trip in luxury. We can do it however we want, and we really appreciate that freedom because it kind of lets us tailor our RV to the trip that we're taking. Whereas many times when we're going to the beach into these really tight, small campgrounds that are absolutely beautiful, it could be a pain to wiggle that 30-foot long toy hauler that is just massive into these little spots that are meant for 20, 25-foot Class C's with no trailers on them. So that would be very difficult, and it was nice to be able to avoid that happening. Not having to worry about dumping, and not having to worry about filling up propane tanks, and not having to worry about all these little extra steps that would oftentimes just make my weeks before a trip stressful, because almost every day after work, I'm having to set up and get ready for our trip for this RV. I still have to do that with the Class C and with the Class A, with loading up and things like that, but it's just a lot less stress knowing when you pick that RV up, it's good to go until you bring it back. We really like not having to pay for a storage, not having to worry that our investment is just sitting away from us and we don't see it often. We only see it once a month or whenever I go to check on it and make sure everything's looking good. A lot less stressful just to know that our RV is at someone's house or at an RV rental facility, and when we want it, it'll be there and it'll be ready to go. So we really decided, given all of these circumstances, renting an RV is going to give us everything we need. We're only using it about 4 or 5 times a year, and at that rate, it costs us about $1,000 to $1,500 for each trip we take if we're renting, depending on the quality and size of RV that we get. And given that, we were paying that much, sometimes more, in just 1 month. And after kind of outlining the pros for us with renting, there weren't a whole lot of cons. The cons for renting definitely come down to availability. If it's a busy weekend, you want to plan ahead, you want to reserve that RV, you want to expect when you have to go pick up the RV that there's going to be, lines, you're going to have to wait. You kind of have to plan ahead with the rental RVs in terms of logistics, because you have to plan, okay, I got to have somebody go take me to the RV rental place to drop me off so I can bring it back. And then at the end of the trip, you got to do the same thing. You got to have a ride again to go drop the RV off and bring you back. So that's one of the cons. It's definitely something you can work around, something that's easy if you have to get an Uber or a Lyft to just get that RV back or get that RV picked up. It's not the end of the world, and it doesn't outweigh the cost too much. The loading and unloading is definitely something that is not as convenient when you rent, because when you rent, you get the RV completely empty with none of your supplies. You got to put everything in and get it all loaded up when you go on your trip. And then when you come back, you got to get it completely empty. You don't want to have to, pay for an extra day that you're not using. So you typically get home from your trip and you kind of have to dive right into getting everything emptied out, everything cleaned out to get that RV returned the next day that you're back from your trip. I have to say we are very pleased with our choice to sell our $130,000 RV setup. We are seeing that we have a lot more freedom with our finances. We're finding that we still go RVing just as much as we did when we owned the RV. And we're also realizing that we really like having the opportunity to try out different types of RVs. We've definitely also learned that we like Class C RVs better than we did the truck and toy hauler combination. Fitting everything into a toy hauler was always a game of Tetris. And you usually have to be on the floor underneath, tying things down in weird angles, and by the end of getting everything loaded up, you're not ready to go to your trip. You're ready to take a nap and take a break before your trip even starts. We really enjoy being able to go RVing every time in a different capacity, tailoring the RV we rent to the trip that we're going on. I hope this video was helpful to you in some way. If you're thinking about buying an RV or you already own an RV and you're thinking about selling it, I hope some of the points and some of the topics I brought up resonate with you, or you're thinking about doing something similar. Please drop a comment below. If there's any questions you have about how we sold our RV, or if there's any questions you have about how we sold our truck and that whole process. I really hope to start being able to provide more behind the scenes information, guidance, and tips and tricks to our slightly outnumbered life and the adventures that we take and some of the things that have to go on behind the scenes. And we're looking forward to future trips in our rental RVs that we kind of test out over the next coming months and who knows, maybe years before we buy another RV. If you like this video and it kind of helped you out in any way, please like the video, drop a comment below. And then if you're not already subscribed to our channel, please go ahead and subscribe. We are really trying to grow this channel, and it would mean the world to me if you could click that subscribe button. It really does help us out a lot. And we're really just looking to connect and share our knowledge and experiences that we've had over the years in hopes of helping out some people in their adventures and their family life. Remember, life is always an adventure when you're slightly outnumbered. Thanks for watching.